it's Macy. Today we are going to be talking about the Tarte Shape Tape Matte Foundation. I have the shade here in Medium Sand, and I also have the shade Medium Tan Honey, so I'm going to be swatching these two shades for you and kind of talking about the foundation itself, if it lasts all day, if it's true to its claims, and a little bit about my story on foundations and being someone who is Asian, and kind of my struggle with foundation shades, because it's been, you know, a huge talk in the beauty community about the shades of this foundation, so I did not want to kind of neglect that aspect of it, but I also wanted to give you an honest and actual Mocha. My cat is coming after me. I wanted to also give you a review on the product as well, without bashing it too much, mainly because I want to be able to give an actual review, kind of share my thoughts on the actual formulation, the actual product itself, for those who were really interested in the foundation and if the foundation will work for their skin type, and try it out if it works for me. So a little bit of a background about this foundation. It did come from obviously the Tarte Shape Tape concealer, which I also have right here. I have this in Light Sand, and those are the two little guys. So this is a vegan, oil-free, full coverage foundation with a creamy texture and modern matte finish to complement our concealer. This is on Tarte's website, and it provides full coverage. It smooths over pores and imperfections with rich airbrushed full coverage that dries to a flawless matte finish. The formula absorbs oil and shine while leaving skin creaseless, hydrated, and free of flakiness or caking, and helping to improve skin health with every application. So some of the highlights that they had on their website was that it's dermatologist tested, hyperallergenic, waterproof, long-wear, vegan, oil-free, talc-free, and alcohol-free, which is really something that I look for in a foundation. I have very, very oily skin. I get really oily by 5 or 6 hours of the day, and I really need a foundation that will last throughout the day. I do work, you know, a full-time job, and I want a foundation that kind of lasts throughout the day, that doesn't need touch-ups, that doesn't oily on the skin. And so this is something that I was really interested in because it says it's long wear and waterproof, and also great for oily skin and something that's mattifying. So that's why I picked it up. And a little bit about myself. I do have oily yellow undertone skin. I have acne. I have acne scars. So those are a little bit of my concerns. And in regards to the shade range of this foundation, you know, it just kind of reminds me of the days where I was younger, and you know, when I started out foundation, not every shade in the drugstore was kind of catered toward skin like mine. There were a lot of foundations in a drugstore that had a lot of neutral or pinkish undertones instead of the yellow undertones. So, you know, growing up, I've had my fair share of dealing with shades and foundations that didn't really work for my skin, that are really hyped up. I would say one example would be the Revlon Color Stay foundation that that was a big hit when I was younger, maybe about 16, 17 years old. But when I picked up the foundation, because it was great for oily skin, it always looked too pink on me, or too dark or too orange on me, and it didn't really match my skin tone. But it wasn't with only that foundation. I found that, you know, I need to stop looking at the drugstore for foundations that fit my skin shade, my skin tone, and my undertone. I needed to look at, you know, these more expensive foundations at the at Ulta and Sephora to kind of find a foundation that matched my undertone. And so, you know, I had to spend more money on something that kind of fit my color, but also worked with my oily skin. And I always struggled to find that, and everyone else would be able to find like their shade, their a foundation that works well for them. But to be completely honest, I only was able to find something that worked for me up until recently, which is the Fenty Beauty foundation in 240, and it really matches my skin really well. A lot of other foundations I've found in the past were still very pink, even if they, you know, claim to have yellow undertones. It just wasn't yellow enough for me. And I would say the Bare Minerals, the original foundation in Golden Medium, was also a foundation that really, really worked for my yellow undertones. So, having been in a bandwagon where people raved about a foundation or loved a foundation that, didn't really work for myself. And even if I tried it out and I tried to make it work and, say and just think that it really worked for my skin when it didn't, like I, had that problem being in the makeup world. And I always considered getting, some yellow droplets, like makeup droplets that you can add to your foundation. I always considered using yellow food coloring in my foundation just to make the undertone match my skin, because not a lot of companies in around that time had foundations with yellow undertones and didn't really have that in their mind. So I just kind of wanted to kind of talk about my little backstory when it comes to foundations that fit my skin color, because we see a lot of, shades that, cater toward the majority of the complexion types out there. I didn't want to kind of neglect that, but I also wanted to provide you with a actual foundation review on this product. So that's all I'm going to say about my experience, growing up and having like struggles with foundations that, were popular but never worked for me because of the colors and because of the undertones. But again, I also wanted to provide a actual foundation review, so those who, do have shades out there with the Tarte Sharp. I actually wanted to do a review on this product so that the people who, do have a shade can really see, if it might work for their skin or not, and see how the application is, and kind of just have an overview of the product itself. So that's all I'm going to say, and we are going to get right into the foundation review and do some check-ins throughout the day. Thanks for watching. Okay, so let's get started. I have the foundation right here. It came in this Tarte box, and I got two of the shades in medium tan honey and medium sand. This is what the packaging looks like. And it just comes open like this. And this is what the actual item looks like. So I am going to be swatching both of these colors on my hand and on my face first. And here's a fresh swatch of the two colors I got today. Medium sand and medium tan honey. And here are the two colors side by side as well. So I'm going to swatch both of them on my face. I believe that my shade is actually medium sand, so that's what I'm going to use, but I want to show how it looks on the face as well. Okay, those are what those two look like. And today I'm just going to be using the medium sand shade because I did notice that these guys oxidized on me yesterday when I swatched them on my hand. So we will get started with that. Okay, so I used two dips of the foundation and just put that all over my skin, and I'm using my Morphe M439 brush to kind of buff it all out. It doesn't seem like it's very blendable. It doesn't seem very blendable. It feels a little bit drier and not as creamy. My face looks kind of dry and dead, so not loving it so far. I was really excited for it. And I didn't want to prime today because whether or not I use a primer, it doesn't really affect the longevity of my foundations usually. So I did moisturize and did use like a moisturizing base underneath my foundation, but I still feel like it looks a little dry. I'm gonna do a little bit more on my cheeks. All I know my shade right now, but I am afraid that it will oxidize over time, so we'll kind of look at that and see how that works out. I also wanted to point out that the foundation feels like that it's been set already. It doesn't feel like wet, it feels dry, and it kind of feels like I don't need a powder today, but I am still going to be powdering just to make sure everything stays in place. But it doesn't feel too tacky. It feels a slight bit tacky, but not wet anymore. It kind of just dried down, so just wanted to point that out. Okay, and so I'm going to finish the rest of my makeup and we will see how the end result looks. Alright, so I just wanted to show the foundation and some different lighting so you can kind of see what it really looks like. Hi, baby. Oh, what's wrong? She's in her hammock. Hi. She really wants a piece of my skin. Yep. Alright, so here are the two shades that I have on my arm. I had this on for about 2 hours now, and I wanted to do a quick swatch of the shades again, freshly made, so you can kind of see the difference between, you know, how it looks when you swatch it at first and how it looks like after a few hours. This one I'm going to go into is medium sand, and this one I'm going into is medium tan honey. Okay, so you can definitely see there is a huge difference in the freshly swatched shades and the dried shades. Really dark. They don't seem like the same shade at all. This is a shade I wore in the tutorial, and I did notice it got a lot darker throughout, you know, me wearing it throughout the day. So just want to note that. Hello, so it is the end of the night. It's 8:47 right now, and I've had the foundation on for about 12 hours, and I want to kind of show that it didn't get very oily. Like I usually get really oily by the nighttime, but it seemed to last all day, which is really nice. I am, you know, pretty oily in the T-zone, and it did seem to come off you know, under my nose. I was blowing my nose today, and I would say it looks super flawless. It looks better definitely throughout the day as your oils kind of come through, and it looks more, I mean, not as dry as it did look earlier when I did apply it. So I'm gonna do a quick touch up. I'm just gonna grab a quick tissue and just kind of blot my T-zone area. I do find that my face, as my oils kind of came out, it didn't look very shiny. It kind of just looked like I had like highlighter all over my face, which is kind of nice because I usually get really greasy, oily looking, which doesn't look that cute. So I just kind of blotted, and you can see that some of it came off, but it does seem to be transfer resistant, which is really nice. So, and I like that about it because it's not going to get on my sheets or my pillow. So I'm just going to take a clean side, kind of go on, and it doesn't come off, which is really nice. So it really does hold on and doesn't come off the skin. Okay, so we are going to just kind of put a little bit more on, just use some of the excess from the brush from earlier. And then I'm going to just powder real quick. I think the foundation still looks really good. Okay, so overall thoughts on the foundation itself. I didn't enjoy the application that much. It did seem a bit drying on the skin as I started blending out, so it wasn't very blendable, and as blendable as some of my other foundations. It seemed to just be thicker, which, you know, it's essentially supposed to be thick to give you that full coverage, but it made it harder to blend, which I'm okay with. And you know, I'm just going to work quickly. I do like that it comes with the applicator, the sponge tip applicator, the really large one, because it kind of makes it easier for me to apply it in the morning. I don't have to use my fingers to like dot it on my face. I can just take it out, put it on my face, and I don't have to use my hands or my fingers and get my hands dirty. So that's a plus. And I would say the coverage was definitely full, very full coverage, like to look more natural. I wouldn't say this foundation would be for an everyday look. It's more of like a glamorous, you know, night out look. I noticed that throughout the day, the foundation seemed to really darken on my face a little bit. You probably can't see it here and right now, but the foundation did oxidize. I would definitely be aware of that. With this shade, it's pretty close to my color. It's a little bit darker than my skin right now, so I wouldn't say it's a match for my skin tone or my complexion. So, but the next one higher is like light medium honey, which I'm not a honey undertone. I'm more of a sand undertone. The honey undertone is more of the orange undertone, whilst the sand is more of a yellow undertone. So they don't really have the shade up in sand except for light sand, and I have the medium sand, so light sand is a little bit too light for me. But it's a better match than the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion foundation that I did a review on compared to the Tarte. So you can kind of see it's more orange than the Tarte. So I also wore this foundation as I worked out today, and I'm actually really surprised that it stayed on super well. I was sweating, my face gets really oily, so I haven't had a foundation that wears this well. And you know, I usually get oily within 5 hours, and then I get really oily in my T-zone. But this one, when I used it today, it wasn't as oily as I normally get. It was just very shiny, but not like a greasy shiny, more of just a shine on my face, which was really nice. I continue using it and kind of seeing if it still continues to work. By the 8-9 hour mark, this really beat the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion foundation and the Fenty by being long wearing. So I think that's a huge plus. I do really like the foundation because it stayed on through my workout throughout the day for 9 hours, and it didn't transfer. That's a huge plus, and it does have the applicator, which makes that really easy to apply. The cons would be just that it's, you know, it is drying, so please don't try it if you have drier or normal skin. You might not have a good result with how it looks on the skin because it's so drying and mattifying. If you do have oily skin like me, then I think that it'd work for you as well. So thank you for watching the video, and let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.